Riverdale, the TellTale series. Now, of course, you guys know that TellTale is my most popular thing to cover on this channel. I've created an entire series based on the TellTale fight scenes from across The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us, and Batman, the TellTale series. So, you know, it is quite obvious that my Walking Dead content will be in restricted supplies now that the series has officially come to an end. The Walking Dead final season dropped 3 years ago. I still have yet to play the final season. I never got around to it. It's my biggest regret not playing it when it did. I don't think I'd get as many views for it now because, you know, the game's 3 years old. But I have every intention of playing through The Walking Dead Michonne and playing through The Walking Dead the final season to finish off Clementine's story. I've replayed the collection. In all honesty, I'm probably going to consider purchasing the Walking Dead Definitive Edition for the PlayStation 5. Yes, it'll mean playing through all three games again, but that way I will be able to have everything on one system, all updated as well. You know, I have actually thought about going back and I have redone some of the old videos in the past, but at the same time, in definitive, I probably will do an HD collection of fights. But yeah, so anyway, moving on to Riverdale, the TellTale series. Now, this is obviously this is unannounced. There's been no confirmation that we'll get a Riverdale TellTale series. The reason why I really want this is because Netflix and TellTale were actually set to work together on a Stranger Things game. Of course, when TellTale shut down back in 2018, that was cancelled. The rights went back to Netflix, and the game was never put forward. But imagine if a video game based on another popular Netflix series, or CW as well, was to air through Riverdale, and it's quite a hot topic at the moment because Riverdale is set to end next year. So I think it'd be a lovely way to kind of keep the Riverdale name alive, despite the series coming to a close. And I think it'd be really sweet to have a video game based on it. In terms of what I would do for the game, I would very much go down the Batman, the TellTale series route. Let's just get Trevor looking like the Joker. No, that's not Trevor, that's Michael. Trevor 4. Just Trevor looking like the Joker or something related, because that's Michael. God damn it. I'm so sorry. That's Michael again. This is embarrassing. Actually taking the mic now. Trevor 2. I'm just going to leave and place Michael. It would be nice to kind of see the Batman TellTale series approach, where they stick to the original source material, but they vastly change it as well. For example, with Batman, we got some amazing plot twists. Vicky Vale being the villain of Lady Arkham, which is her original identity to the Riverdale, to the Batman mythos. Thomas Wayne being a criminal. That's something that the recent Batman movie, The Batman, actually adapted from the TellTale game. I thought it was absolutely awesome. Just shows how much of an impact that game had on Batman afterwards, which I think is just absolutely fantastic. I loved that movie, and I loved it even more because of what the game did. It had a much younger Bruce Wayne as well, starting off only about a year into his career as the Batman, and then obviously the season 2 was another year afterwards, so we're on year 3. I thought it was absolutely brilliant what the game series did, and it's definitely my favourite TellTale game. A Riverdale one in that style I think would be excellent. But I would home in on a lot of emphasis on playing as not just Archie Andrews. I'll make it specifically based on the core 4. Have each segment where you play as the core 4, and then they all interact together, they all come together. Basically what the series started off doing really well, but then just failed miserably to do later on, which was actually have the group together, interacting. Now everyone's off, you know. Archie and Betty doing their own things. Veronica's off doing her own thing. Jughead's off doing his own thing. I'd have them set separate segments where you can make individual choices as them, but then, you know, have those choices interact with each other and just play as each of the characters and actually establish your own version of Archie Andrews, your own version of Betty Cooper, your own version of Jughead Jones, and your own version of Veronica Lodge. I wouldn't go too far. I wouldn't make you play as Cheryl Blossom, Kevin Keller, Tony Topaz. I wouldn't do that. I'd be convoluting a bit too much. I would have a lot of emphasis on the relationship with the parents. I would do it so that they are younger, different voice cast, you know, kind of reboot Riverdale in a way, and I would keep it very grounded. My favourite thing about the Batman series is how grounded it is. It feels very much like it has that Wolf Among Us, The Walking Dead grip to reality. You know, extremely realistic, extremely immersive, because, you know, the TV show I thought was realistic until season 3, really. At the moment they introduced Griffins and Gargoyles, and, you know, the Gargoyle King, and all these, you know, seizures through a curse and stuff like that. I thought, what the hell? I loved what they were doing with season 5 in the TV show, and how they had everyone grow up and it felt more realistic again, but then it just took a complete stupid turn in season 6 when they got powers for some reason. And I just think, you know what, why don't the TV show just stick to naturalism, or just go straight from the back with, you know, supernatural stuff, because I don't think it's worth introducing it that late in. I just really don't. Stick to afternoon. Right, I want to change my character again. I'll just leave as my. You know, I would really go in depth on just the story and the relationship with the parents. I would keep characters like Frank Andrews, you know, Hiram Lodge. Or I keep all the parents. I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't do an Archie versus Hiram feud. That, I don't know. I just don't really. I don't really in this game. I don't really think there's a set relationship. There should be a set relationship path. Much like with the Walking Dead, the final season, you as the player dictate whether or not Clementine gets together with Violet or Lewis. You know, it's down to you to make that call, and I think that's lovely. I'll probably do the same with Archie. Make him, you know, choose whether or not you want to get together with Betty or Veronica. That way, Barchi shippers are, you know, left to their own devices. When it comes to Jughead, I would probably go down the comic book route and make him asexual. I would probably do that, because the TV show never did it, which was confusing, because I thought, you know, Jughead was always set as asexual. You know, on the plus side, it's also LGBT representation, and, you know, stuff like that. I just think they should just stick with, or have some form of reference to the comic books there, and make him asexual or aromantic. I think it'll be quite interesting. But, you know, I just think that the romance side really should be up to the player's discretion on whether or not they want to go with Betty and Archie, Archie and Veronica. Betty and Veronica would be interesting. I don't think they'd do it, but it'd be cool. You know, I think it would be really cool. I would personally keep the parents, all of them, like Hal Cooper, Tom Keller, Clifford Blossom. You know, I'd keep Jason alive. I wouldn't do the whole Jason Blossom, who killed Jason Blossom thing. I don't know. I don't want to make it too similar to season 1. I will probably have a murder mystery, but I don't. I'm not sure what storyline I would pitch for it just yet. I wouldn't do any of the things that the TV show have done. I would personally keep it quite original. Maybe start off with the serpents versus the bulldogs. Kind of have that feud element to it, and then have it, establish the serpents as good characters like the TV show did, because that's a dynamic that I think should be done right from the bat. I thought the TV show was excellent in covering that kind of dynamic and the whole, misunderstood heroes kind of thing, because the serpents very much did become the heroes, the overarching heroes of seasons 2 and 3. Not so much in 4 or 5 or even 6 for that matter. But yeah, I would personally go down that route to start off with, and then have an overarching storyline as you proceed. For example, maybe there's a huge feud going on in Riverdale, and I don't really know where I'd go story wise just yet. If once I do, I'll probably make another stream just covering it. But I would love to see your choices determine, the next aspect of the story. And also, I would love a Batman the Enemy Within Joker style situation where your choices determine a completely different episode. Like, for example, with Batman the Enemy Within, if he was a good friend to John Doe, he would become the vigilante Joker, whereas if you had turned your back on him, he would end up becoming the villain Joker, and you had 2 separate episodes with it. Bear in mind, they did share some of the same scenes towards the end, with the whole Tiffany Fox thing, with the whole Alfred leaving Gotham. The layout at the start, the phone call would stay the same, although the dialogue would just be different. Something like that, whether it be related to one of the characters. I would personally love to have a nice little feud between Archie and Jughead, even though they are best mates. It would be kind of nice to put more strain on that friendship, because the TV show has had them bicker, but never really full on fight until season 6, and even then technically that fight wasn't canon because it was in a parallel universe thing. I don't know. It was a great fight and I loved it, and I've been wanting to see that for years, but at the same time I thought, but at the same time I'd bring Archie and Jughead back together. I don't know, maybe Betty and Veronica get captured and they both have to work together to rescue them or something, I don't know. Although Betty, if anything like her TV show Lily Reinhart counterpart, were probably more than capable of taking care of herself. Veronica should be, but in the TV show, she's just kind of, I don't know, annoying. Sorry to any Veronica fans out there. I was one for a long time, but she just really started to get on my nerves. Betty did in season 4. She got on my nerves quite a lot. I disliked her then, but she had a great redemption in season 5 just because she became very badass and stuff. But yeah, in terms of characters, I would have both Fred and Frank Andrews. I would create separate storylines but have them all interlinked 24/7. For Archie, I would create a classic family feud, kind of paying homage to The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, with David Garcia and his brother Javier Garcia. They had a really good feud throughout the series or the season, even though it's just the one. It was only a few encounters long because a lot of the fight scenes were predetermined. Were determined based on the player response. For example, the tussle in episode 4. And the big punch up at the end, it was either a full on fight or a beating. Sorry. You know, there's oh my god. Yeah, I'd give a lot of yeah, I'd give a lot of like depth to each character storyline. I'd do something like a feud, you know, family feud for Archie, probably with Frank and Fred. I would have Fred Andrews be quite similar to his Luke Perry counterpart on the TV show. R.I.P. Buddy. I loved Luke Perry. Like a really sweet, loving father, but he's got problems with his brother Frank. Obviously, because Frank was a bit of a rogue in the TV show. You know, I do love Frank Andrews. I think he's a cracking character, but he clearly has. You know, he doesn't have as much of a loyalty to his family than Fred does. I think Fred has more of a backbone morally, whereas Frank is just a bit of a brawler. Quite similar to Archie in a sense, so it would kind of feel like a whole Miles Morales, Jefferson Davis and Aaron Davis situation where, you know, he loves his father, but he also loves his uncle. I'd give that kind of complexity to it. But I wouldn't really go too, like, I wouldn't just focus on that, because then on Jughead's side I would probably do something like a poverty based storyline and have FP have to you know, resort to criminal activity because of his own pride. Really, he can't really talk to Fred, who would arguably his best friend as well, because the Jones and the Andrews family have such a they just have such a strong respect for each other. Like Fred and FP were best mates, as well as Archie and Jughead, they're best friends as well. So, you know, they would help each other out, but the circle, the inner circle of trust would only go as far as them. For Betty and Veronica, I think their storylines are more so. I think with Betty, I try and completely change, differentiate from her TV show counterpart. Based on the fact that I want Betty to be quite naturalistic still. Not this is now. I love Lily Reinhart. I think she's an amazing actress. She's absolutely gorgeous at what she does. I would not say anything bad about her at all. But the direction they took Betty, I really don't like it. They've made her quite repetitive. I would make her quite simplistic in the fact that she's struggling with something. She clearly has unresolved feelings for Archie or Jughead, you know. And I'd make there a bit of a family dynamic as well. Maybe something big's going on within Riverdale, and she's the one that's kind of being forced into not so much investigating it, but persevering with it, and then it's her that ends up telling the rest of the group, and they all come together. I wouldn't personally make the individual storylines too central to the plot. I would have you know, you play as each character for a bit, and I'd have them come to a point where they just have to come together, and then pick things up in the next episode separately, and then the same again, because I feel like the overarching plot should be that the town is in danger of a scandal or something from each of the or you know, each of the family separate character dynamic is then culminated into one overarching threat. For example, say Jughead's or FP's criminal activities to support his family ends up involving him working with Hiram Lodge or Frank Andrews, and then you know, get the Blossoms involved as well. The Blossoms are always you know, significant characters to play around with, because they are, you know, Madeleine Petsch is bloody beautiful, and she's a fantastic actress. You know, kind of get them in. I'd like to have a lot of fight scenes in this show. Going back to them being teenagers again, like they were in Riverdale, I would go 16. 16-year-olds like to scrap, like, believe me. I would personally do it so that, you know, that everyone's getting fair fight scenes and beatdowns, and I think it'd be really cool if that was just a scene where the group were walking together and they get attacked and Archie and Jughead just beat the crap out of, or Archie's just beating the crap out of the guy doing it, attacking the group, and then Archie has to pull them off, and then the police come and Archie gets arrested, and you know, I think it'd be pretty sick if that happened. Again, I would like to eventually do a fight between Archie and Jughead. I'd love to play as well, I'd love to play as the pair of them for that fight, just going back and forth as Archie and Jughead, just making each other's injuries worse, throwing more punches. Jughead, I could probably see him fighting dirty as he is from the trailer park, and you know, he struggles for money, so we probably would see him probably having more of a or less of a fighting code than Archie. But at the same time, I feel like Archie would have to, Jughead would try and put a limit to how much he hurts Archie, because at the end of the day, they're all best friends. I'd make it quite a personal fight, so then they come back together when they need to. Not so much as personal as Batman, Bruce Wayne versus villain Joker, but just something that's very intense and gripping, and you know, something that's just going to be really memorable. You know, I'd make each character have a fair share of fights, to be fair, because in all fairness, the core four are a pretty tough group. The only one who I think would probably fight the least is Veronica, because she's, of course, classic rich girl, wouldn't really need to fight dirty because she'd have other people fighting for her. Which is also, actually isn't something else. I would love to finally explore other character relationships that the TV show have never really gone into as much. I'd love to have a nice friendship between Veronica and Jughead, based on the fact that they are polar opposites of each other, but they've been brought together through, you know, Betty, through Archie, and I think it'd be nice to share some more scenes between them based on what, you know, the fact they are really opposite to each other. I wouldn't so much make them a couple. I don't know. I don't think Jughead is necessary. I wouldn't really go down the whole romantic route, but I would have I would make a bit of an animosity between them into a really strong and solid friendship. Okay. I don't know. I feel like that'd be really nice to just play around with. Who's shooting me now? There you go. I'd love to play around with that, with their relationship. Just make them really close friends. Ow, I wanted that call. Because of that, I'm gonna blow it up. Yeah. I'd love to have like paint other characters. I'd actually love to do a lot of the things the TV show just never got around to doing. Like, for example, Reggie had an amazing opportunity to explore his abuse at the hands of his father, but they never did it. Never did it. I thought it was really stupid the fact they never actually went in depth with Reggie's own storyline. So I would kind of give a lot of depth to something like domestic abuse, or in some cases sexual abuse, because of obviously in season 1 of Riverdale they had Archie dating Miss Grundy, which, you know, even though in the legal age, the UK's legal age is 16, it's not for America. The Americans' legal age for sexual consent is 18. So what that basically meant was that Mrs. Grundy was abusing Archie, and, you know, she never got any form of legal punishment. She was killed off by she was killed off by what's his face, Hal Cooper, the Black Hood. Not sure if I'd do a Black Hood storyline personally. I like the idea of it, but I just don't want to make it too much like a TV show. I'd love to have its own, you know, individuality. I would personally like to, if I was going to revisit any of the storylines from the past, the TV show have explored, I would probably redo the famous mask, like the classic masked killer. Instead of making it Jelly Bean Jones, I'd make it something a bit more dynamic, and instead I would resolve it by having everyone fight their masked counterpart, just for that kind of fan service. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to kind of play around with that. There you go. Right, we are going to go to settings. With regards to how many episodes and stuff I would do, I would make it specifically 5 episodes a season, much like every other main Telltale series. I would stretch for 4 seasons. I try and make each episode about 2 hours long, so you have 10 hours of story a season. That's 40 hours of story. I think that'll be quite good for a series. You know, I would go for 4. I'd do 4 for Batman, 4 for The Wolf Among Us. And just for a bit of fun, I would reference / kind of canonize Batman the Telltale series and the Fable series as a part of the Riverdale universe, just for that potential crossover ability opportunity with like the likes of Bigby Wolf, Bruce Wayne, and interacting with Archie Andrews, Jughead Jones, Betty Cooper, Veronica Lodge. You know, I'd love to have that Bruce Wayne versus Hiram Lodge thing where they go head to head, and then Batman just comes out and he, you know, full on beats the living daylights out of Hiram. But it'll never happen because Archie Comics is the Riverdale belongs to Archie Comics, and Batman and Fables belong to DC Comics. But at the same time, they have kind of worked hand in hand before, and there's constantly references to DC in Riverdale, the TV show, so I would kind of play with that a little bit. Again, that'll be the only supernatural element to it, because of course Fables deals with, you know, shape changing and stuff like that. That'll be as far as I went with superpowers. I wouldn't even have Bigby turn into a werewolf form, as he interacts with, where's the bike go? As he interacts with where'd the bike go? As he interacts with like the core 4. Biggest departure I'd make from the TV show, musical episodes, not happening. I don't know why we have them. I think they're stupid. They really are. I liked the Hedwig and the Heathers one. I thought them two were really good, but the rest were just garbage. I just wouldn't bother. You know, I just kind of losing the plot really. But yeah, I have a different voice cast. As cool as it would be to have Cole Sprouse, KJ Apa, Lily Reinhart, and Camila Mendez, and Madeleine Petch, and Vanessa Morgan, and what's his name? Casey Cott, Charles Melton. As cool as it would be to have all of them, I want to kind of differentiate it from the TV show. Yes, Batman is voiced by Troy Baker, who's voiced Batman in other properties as well, but I just take it a bit, I don't know, I just wouldn't have it just yet. I would personally like to see a lot of the Telltale voice cast come back and do the Riverdale characters. My number 1 nomination would probably be um, Melissa Hutchins, or the voice of Clementine, voicing Betty Cooper. I think that would be amazing. Just to have that. I would make Betty a badass. I would. I really would. I wouldn't make her a spy or an FBI agent, but I would make her a badass. I'd make her someone that just doesn't take crap from anyone. I wouldn't do the whole Dark Betty thing, but I would seriously have an absolute badass. And I don't think there's anyone quite like Clementine and the voice actress of Clementine to fulfill that role. I think she'd be literally perfect. I wouldn't do Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham. I'd do Travis Willingham and probably Troy Baker for a parent, and the same with Laura Bailey for a parent, but not as the Archie, Jughead, Betty, Veronica. I wouldn't do it. I just couldn't. I would have younger voice actors fulfilling those roles. There are some good ones about, to be fair. I think it'd be pretty cool having a much younger, unless they can tone their voices to sound much younger than they are, then maybe do it, but I just wouldn't for the main ones. I would give more emphasis on school stuff. I'd have things like your choices in class come back up in dialogue. Good old school fight. Everyone loves a school fight. I think it'd be pretty cool to do. And then I'd maybe finish the first season in the school, have a big fight or big event in the school. Not sure if I'd go as far as shooting, because I think that'd be pretty... unless you went for an 18 rated, I don't know, I wouldn't do a shooting. I think that'd be a bit much, although I did a shooting for my exam. But yeah, I would personally international airport, yeah. I would kind of just go that route, really. Wouldn't go as massively OTT as others would. But yeah, I really want this game to happen. Like, I really want this game. I wouldn't spend half an hour talking about it if I didn't. I love the Archie Comics characters. I love for the most part, I love Riverdale as a TV show. I haven't caught up on it because I don't think I want to, from what I've seen. But at the same time, I really do enjoy this series, and I will be gutted to see it end, because I am going to catch up to it, even if I end up hating it. I love the characters, I love the acting, I love the TV show cast, and yeah, I just love to see the story unfold and things like that. I think it'd be really nice. Yeah, as far as TV developments go, I would make the game completely different. Because I don't want to feel like a season 8, but through TellTale. I just don't think that'd be cool. Unless the voice cast came back and deliberately did a season 8 for a TellTale game, which again I highly doubt they would. I think a lot of cast members are probably ready to leave the show. Because the thing is, I seriously believe that even if the series went on, I think we would have a Rick Grimes, The Walking Dead situation, where one of the main characters would probably think about leaving anyway, because the caliber of those actors is so beyond the writing that the writers have been producing over the past few seasons. Like, they are such good actors. I've seen them in other stuff. Like, I've seen 5 Feet Apart with Cole Sprouse, and I've seen I've seen Hustlers and Chemical Hearts with Lily Reinhart, and they are such incredible and just groundbreaking actors and actresses. I think that the writing of Riverdale is a much far misrepresentation of what they can actually do. you know, if the writing was better, then the actors would feel like they're doing a much better job. But with what they've done, with what they've had, I think they've done really good. There's certain scenes in the show where I think the acting's just absolutely ridiculous, and it's not even the writing's fault. But they more so come from the extra characters and the side characters, more so than the main cast. I think the main cast is absolutely spectacular. You know, I think even with Cheryl Blossom's really cringy lines, Madeleine Petsch does her very best to convey sincerity and an actual depth to those lines, and I think that's what the TV show depends on best, is their actors. Everything else just kind of falls flat nowadays. But yeah, I think a game that had the kind of grip and reality of The Walking Dead and Batman the Telltale series would be absolutely superb. I couldn't fault it. I would love it so much. I'd make it exclusive to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, just to kind of enhance the visuals, you know, really make it as crisp. I'd still go with that cell shaded style, because I think it's perfect for comic book based Telltale games. You know, it had it for Batman, Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead. Didn't really have it for Guardians as much. It was more just CGI with that one, which I thought was quite disappointing, to be honest. But I would definitely have it with Riverdale. I'd have quite modernised designs for the characters. I would you know, make them quite casual. I'd have Archie wear his bulldog jacket, the same one from the TV show. But that'd be as far as I go with it, really. Right. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just really enjoying faffing around in this plane at the moment, just flying up and seeing how high you can go. I don't know why I've done it before, like countless times, but okay, I'm getting way too carried away with this. Probably going to start wrapping up the stream in a sec. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Comment below what you guys think on a Riverdale Telltale game, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.